Hi, my name is DeAndrea, and welcome to The Real News. We have a very special guest, Mr. Dean Lauren, Esquire, and we also have our co-host, Mr. Joseph Carranza. And they're going to discuss some pretty horrific cases that are going on, political prisoners who have not done anything at all and are spending years and years in jail. Mr. Carranza, would you like to, well, before I'll just show you a picture of this gentleman. Probably because of the way he looks is why he's in jail. But Joseph Carranza will go into the details of who he is, what's his name, and why has he been targeted, in your opinion?
Well, he is a Middle Eastern gentleman. His name is Ali Al-Mari, and he was arrested and imprisoned just a few months after 9/11. So since December 2001, he has been incarcerated. The federal investigators claim that there was some evidence of credit card fraud, and he was deemed an enemy combatant and a national security threat.
Is this because he's Middle Eastern?
Well, he was the victim of the wave of irrational fear and hysteria that swept the country concerning people of Arab descent.
Isn't this what happened during Pearl Harbor? Japanese were targeted in this country and tortured and imprisoned falsely?
Well,
just for being Japanese?
I think that although maybe it's not a direct historical comparison, that there are some similarities, that thousands of people of Middle Eastern descent have been arrested and detained and deported since the attacks of 9/11, and we don't even know the correct number because Freedom of Information Act requests concerning these people who have been detained the government has refused to provide that information due to matters of national security.
Yeah. So how many years has he been in jail so far?
Let's see, that would make it almost 5.5 years.
That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible.
Without
Mr.
being
Lauren,
charged for
isn't there
crime.
a prisoner that you were mentioning that you know of that's also been detained?
Well, this is the case of Leonard Peltier. What happened was he was actually brought over. He was at Pine Ridge, the famous Indian reservation, and the day that they signed the uranium leases was the day that the FBI stormed the reservation. They accused Leonard Peltier of shooting one FBI agent when no gun was found, no evidence was permitted. So he went to Canada and they extradited him, much like your case, on false information. They brought him in, they tried him, everybody lied. And in fact, now everybody has recanted. But because an FBI agent has a life been taken, the FBI refused to allow the conviction to be overturned. But you know, I'm very intrigued with your case. And if you could go in and sort of identify if this person was a citizen.
I'm not sure whether he was a citizen or not.
I do believe you told me he was a citizen. He was attending the university.
Well, he entered the country legally.
Oh, that's what you said. He entered
yes,
legally.
And was living legally. His paperwork was in order. So a federal judge has ruled that he is not to be held under the Military Commissions Act, and that he is to be, the case is to be remanded to the civilian court system. So now the government will probably oppose that judge's decision, and this case will probably go to the Supreme Court. But the judge had some very strong language and went so far as to say that if the government is allowed to detain people who are in the country lawfully or American citizens in this way, without charging them for a crime and without habeas corpus, without contact with family and friends, contact with a lawyer, people that are held as enemy combatants under the Patriot Act, under the rubric of the Patriot Act, that it is, he says that it would have disastrous consequences for the Constitution and the country. Well, I understand the Constitution part, but the country is what we've spoken about on the show many times. It's a high-order abstraction or a high-level abstraction, meaning it's a multi-ordinal term. It could have many different meanings, the country.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a sweeping generalization to say the country. In law, we say, as we've said on the show times, he who defines well and distinguishes well teaches well. And so
I think what he meant by it being a disaster, though, forgetting about using the term the country, but it is a disaster because that means our government can arrest anybody. If this man is unlawfully detained, that can happen to anyone, any American citizen.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up, because how does that contrast with your scenario in which you were
Same thing.
detained?
They-
Please tell the audience,
well-
because I would like to hear that
Well,
once
they
more.
totally ignored my habeas corpus. I was detained unlawfully because I was expressing constitutional rights. For those of you out there who don't know my case, I actually spent 3 years in jail simply for exposing government corruption. You can't do that. Not in this country, but they did do it. And when we filed a habeas corpus, it was ignored. We filed several habeas corpuses. One of them was put in by an attorney out in California. She did a marvelous job. Habeas corpus was that thick and totally ignored.
Now, so they, remember, if you could explain to the audience the family court, the Morgenthau, the family court, how it bounced back with the jurisdictions, how you were detained?
Well, a family court judge put me in jail for 3 years, and when you tell this to any lawyer, they go, "That's impossible, that can't happen." Well, it did. She charged me with civil contempt. Civil contempt is lined with a purge clause, and for those of you who don't know what a purge clause is, it means that you have the keys in your pocket, you can get out at any time, all you have to do is something, whatever the judge asks you to do. Criminal contempt does not have a purge clause. You have to serve the max time, whatever you're sentenced to. The judge, family court judge in Manhattan, Helen C. Sturm, charged me with civil contempt. I have no record. All those years I spent in jail, there's no record. But there was no purge clause.
But that's good, though. That's good you have no record.
Well, but it would have been good if she made a criminal contempt, because then I would have gotten a jury, and then you would have seen that the judge was in cahoots with a detective who has sex with his child, and that's what she was trying to cover up, because I was exposing that case. And Judge Helen Sturm was a good friend of the cop when she was a prosecutor.